It's the 22nd of October, and it's time for my 22nd film and my 31 horrors of Mike. Now, bear with me because I'm a little bit rough from last night. Anyway, this film is Horror Express from 1972. It's a Spanish horror film. It stars Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. What more do you need to know? That's awesome. And it's about Christopher Lee, who plays a character called Professor Saxton, who is traveling through Russia with this crate that he's put onto this train. It's this long distance train, which is very affluent. And while he's there, one of his colleagues, played by Peter Cushing, playing Doctor Wells, wants to know what's in the case, what's in this large box which has been stored away. The truth of the matter is that Christopher Lee's character has discovered a fossil of some sort of primate-like creature, and he believes that this primate-like creature is the missing link. And Peter Cushing's character wants to know all about it because they're quite competitive with one another because they work within the same sort of field. So Peter Cushing's character then pays somebody to go and look in the crate to see what's in it. When that person, an employee of the train, goes to look in the crate, he looks in and he sees this horrible humanoid form. But all of a sudden, its eyes start to glow red, and the person that's just looked in unfortunately dies. This starts a panic on the train. People try to sort of figure out what's going on, and eventually one thing leads to another, and the humanoid creature manages to escape and starts going on a sort of murder, death, kill rampage on this train, which is, I mean, I should say it's set in the early 20th century, and it has that sort of period vibe, which is great. Um, and the production values on the train are absolutely fantastic. I think they actually got the train from another film. And the film progresses. Now you might think, okay, so it's just like your sort of standard monster on a train affair, but it's not really. There is a twist to the tale, which I'm not really ruining things when I say that their troubles only really begin when the creature is actually killed. So they then try to investigate. There seems to be almost like some sort of plague on the train which has come about from this, and they're trying to investigate what's happening. And at the same time, Telly Savalas at one point turns up as a member of the Russian army who stops the train and boards it with his men because he believes there are rebels on the train, and he's confronted with this terrible situation as well where people are dying. And when people die, they have this strange sort of symptom which their eyes go completely white. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of the story. I don't want to ruin any more of it. I really love this film. It's it's just got a great atmosphere to it. It's fantastic that it's got Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in it. I think that the let's say the whole atmosphere is, I mean, it is slightly reminiscent of a Hammer film, but it was actually filmed in Madrid. So it is a Spanish film, so it was quite a big thing, I think, to get Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing into it, and Telly Savalas as well. And it's it's difficult to put it in one sort of genre because yes, it's sort of a monster film. It's also a kind of possession film, and it's also a kind of zombie film at one point. So you have all of those elements going in, and the zombie element's really quite frightening. I think what made this film stand out is that it is very low budget, but because they were clever with the production, they managed to get sets from other films. They managed to probably blow all of their money on getting good actors, and and also the effects I think are great in places. Some of the makeup effects and the Yeah, the makeup effects. I don't know why I said anda. The makeup effects are really great, and it's just atmospheric. I think I read on Wikipedia about a story to do with this, which is that Peter Cushing had just recently lost his wife, and he came to Madrid and then decided that he wasn't going to do the film, and it was Christopher Lee that sort of stepped in and said and talked to him about the previous films that they'd done together, the great work that they'd done together, and that he really should push on. The show must go on and all that. And he managed to persuade Peter Cushing to continue onwards, and I think that's kind of a sweet story because Christopher Lee, in a lot of ways, comes across as a very stoic sort of rigid guy in a lot of ways, but I think we hear stories about him and realise that that's not really the case. And there's just I think there was a lovely friendship between these two guys that had built up through mutual professional respect over the years and just an experience of working together, which I think is fantastic. So I would really recommend watching Horror Express. It didn't do too well at the time, but it's got a real cult following now, and it's also in the public domain. So you can check it out on YouTube. I should mention that there's a whole sort of subplot on the train about this sort of aristocratic countess, and there's a sort of Rasputin like monk on the train who's warning everybody that this thing on the train is evil, and we actually get the film is really reminiscent actually of uh, the Thing in a lot of ways. That's the type of they're in this sort of enclosed environment, and the idea is there of who is this creature or who isn't this creature. And that sort of idea, that the paranoia, really shines through. And Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing are excellent in this, and it's great because they're kind of like at odds with each other, and then they kind of team up at one point, and it's great. So I would definitely check this out. I will leave a link below because it is on YouTube legally, and you can watch that. And yeah, so that's Horror Express, 1972. That's the 22nd film in my 31 Horrors of Mike, and hopefully I'll be a little bit more with it in the next video. Alright, see you guys later.